Hello, my name is Bobby Cooper, and sorry about the little box there. Okay, this is Q4OS, and we're going to install it from the LiveCD, which this is. It's running live. It's Q4OS Linux, and this is the 64-bit version on my laptop. And when you first boot this LiveCD, it comes up to this. The only thing I did was install the simple screen recorder, which actually is an automated installer that's from Q4OS to install it to this Linux version. Q4OS uses Debian Jessie, which is the current stable version, and it's 8.2. So that's Debian Jessie 8.2. And so let's get started. The first thing you're going to do, you should watch my using how to use Gparted video, and I'll have a future video on here about how to use Windows defrag and disk management tool to reduce the size of the primary partition on a Windows system, so that you'll have room to install this alongside your Windows operating system if you choose to do that. But for the people who want to know what Q4OS is, just go to Q4OS.org, and there's a downloads tab on the website, and download the version of the LiveCD for your architecture. If you have a 32-bit like Pentium-4 older computer, you'd use that i386 32-bit, or if you have a newer 64-bit AMD or Intel 64-bit, you'd use that version. Download the LiveCD and then burn it to a CD-ROM, just regular CDR, and then boot that thing. But you may have to go into BIOS and change it so that the CD-ROM boots before the hard drive does. And then this is what you'll come up with right here. It'll load the welcome screen. You can actually install programs on here. Google Chrome is already installed, but if you boot this system, this runs just like on a hard drive, except you will run out of space because it does have a RAM drive that will fill up as you install these. But you can install the video player, or you can install the per se the X2 Go client and connect to an X2 Go server. That's a little complicated for some people, but you can actually install things. You can actually pick the desktop profile. This is interesting. And you can set it for basic. I never tried it with the live, but you can set up right now it's the keep installed Q4OS settings, which they call the pure install. And then the basic is the next. You don't see very many programs get installed, but if you do the full feature, which you won't be able to do it with the LiveCD, you'd have to install it to a hard drive. It has of course it has the Google already installed. It has the Libre Office Suite and a lot of other applications that go along with it. But for right now, we're going to install this to a hard drive. I recommend you go ahead and, if you haven't watched my how to use a Gparted partitioning program, I would recommend that you do that. There should be a link in the bottom on the description of this video. So if we're going to install it, we're going to go ahead and close the welcome screen. And I've already turned on you can see it right here, down here on the right corner bottom, the screen recorder is working. So I'm going to double click the install, and it will get us to the point of picking the language. It'll pick the time zone and the keyboard to start. And it's taking longer right now because it is running from the CD-ROM drive. If this was a USB thumb drive, it would be faster. Or if it was installing from a USB drive, it would, or another hard drive, it'd be faster. I have my own version called some modified version of Q4OS called My Live OS, and I don't provide official support for Q4OS. I do my version, but I'm not an official provider for Q4OS. So if you want support for Q4OS, you would go to Q4OS.org/forum. So it's letting me pick the language. You can see all there's languages here. This is all the translations that they have done for this. Is this awesome or what? But mine is English. Right there, English United States. And, well, Welsh United Kingdom, but English United States is my language. I'm going to click forward. Now I'm on the West Coast today of the United States. Click forward. Then I'm going to pick the keyboard. Mine is, of course, the English U.S. Standard. Now I'm going to put in my full name, which is Bobby Cooper. You'll put your full name in, or you could put Darth Vader if you want to. And then the password on all my LiveCDs, it's capital BC 1 2 3 4 and capital BC 1 2 3 4. One thing to notice though is that when you're typing in, and this goes along with anything, whether it's logging in or just doing it right here, always make sure your number lock light is on. The installer itself, it requires you to push that number key twice. So when you're doing this, make sure the number locks. It's because you can't see the password. Now, if you could be wrong and correct, but to make sure it's the right password you want, make sure your cap locks is off and your number lock is on. If you want to make it so that the system boots automatically without a login, which I don't recommend, I recommend that you always have a password protection on your operating system. You could check that and it would go automatically in without a password, but you could also change that later if you wanted to. Host name has to be lowercase. We'll just call this BOBBY example, because I have a partition that's like that too, that name. Then after that's set, I'll click forward. You could put a picture if you want to. I don't put mine there because it's ugly. So it'll just be a few seconds. Q4OS is based on Debian Linux. Jesse, I think I may have said that right. Okay, so I know for a fact that SDA 10 here, partition, is the one I want to use. It's already been installed too before, so what I need to do is we're going to go in and we're going to go ahead and edit the partition so that we can format that partition. You only need one swap file, which is a partition that the computer sets up. I set mine a little big. You normally need about 8 gigabytes for a swap file. This one's set up a little bigger because I do a lot of testing on the computer. And now it's looking for SDA. SDA is the first hard drive. SGB would be the second drive, but these definitions can change. If you put in, if I added a USB key to this, thumb drive to this, it would come up as an SGB at this point. But if the hard drive wasn't available and it was only the USB key or USB hard drive, it would come up as SDA. So you have to be very careful about picking the right drives. You can actually look under my my computer and media storage, and you can put the cursor over the icons, and it'll tell you what the SDA is, like that does right there. Okay, so we're in here. This one's locked because I did a previous install on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmount it. When it says that lock like that means it's mounted. So I'm going to unmount it, and this is all live. We're not doing anything from a hard drive. We're running from the LiveCD ROM right now. It'll take a minute to do this. Now when you install Q4OS or any Linux, you're generally going to install it every time to an extended 4 partition, which is the Unix version of a format to work properly with their the Unix file system, or Linux file system in this case. You can see here it says Bobby's example. I think I named my host name is Bobby example, but that's okay, doesn't matter. Okay, so that's been unmounted. So what I'll do here now is I want to format it. We're going to format it to extended 4. and I'm going to click the apply button up here. It won't take too long, but I know that there was data on this, and it's on 10. There's data on that drive, and I'm going to make it new. The neat thing about running a LiveCD, and there's several versions of Linux that have LiveCDs, it's picking up drives right now. It's detecting all these drives. That's what these flashing's doing. Doesn't hurt anything. It's normal. Running a LiveCD gives you a lot of opportunity, especially this LiveCD, because, like I said, you can install programs to it just like it was on a hard drive, and you can do demoing. You can't do that with most of the Linux CDs. So as it finishes up here, we'll be done with this formatting of the partition. This makes it clean. Doesn't really go out and check every sector, just resets the partition so that it would appear to be nothing on the drive. And you can see that before it had 10 gigs, I think it was, or something like that over here. Or 1 gigabyte maybe, it was, not sure. So Gparted is a really nice, easy use program, but you have to understand a few things. Is that, like you can see up here, it's not very visible, but it's an NTFS drive. Those are the two Windows file systems right there. My main Windows 7 boot partitions right here. See the boot flag. You don't need a boot flag on the Q4OS partition or install partition. But if this was a USB drive or a USB thumb drive, you'd want to change that flag, and it's just a matter of right-clicking and go to checking the boot. So we've got additional 13.6 gigabyte of unallocated data. We could actually create a new partition, but I wanted to use this one here. So we have the master boot record. Looks like it's using 345 megabytes, and there's still 11.3 gigabytes that are available, and that's plenty for what we're going to do. Normally you would, if you're going to create your system, it's probably going to be a 30 gigabyte partition and an 8 gigabyte swap file on yours. That's what the recommended sizes for the partitions for yours. You would have your Windows partition, and then you would create from the unallocated space that you create after reducing the size of the Windows partition, you would create just one extended for partition of 30 gigabytes and a swap file of around 8 gigabytes. In this case, you can see all the ones I did from ones I do. I go crazy with this stuff, so that's okay. So we're done with this. That's where we want to put it. We've already formatted it. It's nice and clean. We'll go and close out Gparted, and we'll go back and close these drives out. I don't need those. Who does? Okay, they're all gone. Once Gparted is closed out, I always come here and refresh this, because that Unix is going to disappear, because there's no Unix on it right now. There's the Unix data files that were shown previous to our launching of Qparted. That Unix will disappear, and then we're going to tell Linux, Unix Linux, the same definition as far as this is concerned. See how it disappeared? Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to highlight that, we're going to right click it. What we need to do is tell the Q4OS system that we want to put the operating system on the root of the partition, and that's what root is. It's just a / nothing else behind it. You do have the option of creating a second partition and putting home files on there. It'd be like your document files, your root files, your document files, your video files, and things like that. That would be in the home. So your data files, basically. But for right now, we're going to use just the root folder for the operating system, and you only need one, like I said, one swap file for any Linux installation on the same drive. So we're all set. We're going to click forward. Next screen is going to give us an opportunity to select or deselect install grub. I always use install grub on all these installations, no matter what. It's just me. As you get more advanced, maybe you would change that. SDA is actually in the master boot record of the hard drive, this being the only first hard drive. Then these would be the partitions. I do not recommend putting the boot loader in a partition. Always use the SDA or SDB, depending on which drive you're installing to. Next thing, I'm going to click forward. Now, in a summary, we're going to see I've got a U.S. language on the West Coast, English keyboard, my name, usernames, lowercase always on those. You don't have to, but it's recommended. Automatic logins disabled, so it requires a password. I set the host name as Bobby Example. That's what, and it's kind of important that you don't want to change this once this is set within the system. You have to go into separate system files to correct that, to make or sync it with the other host name setup. So, and then the install bootloader is going to be on the, like I said, on the MBR master boot record of the first hard drive, the only hard drive in this case. The format is for SDA 10 partition. It's very important. You do not want that to say SDA because that format the whole hard drive. It needs to say the actual partition you're installing to, and that's extended for, which is the Unix compatible partition, and then format. And then the mount is going to be the root, and the swap file is 6, and that's done automatically. You don't have to worry about anything about the swap file. And here we go. Now it's going to install, and I'm going to pause the video while it's installing. I'll come back after it's ready to reboot. Okay, we're back toward the end of the installation. It'll be done here in a few minutes. I didn't want to open up like my computer and show you different things there while the installation was going on, because I've had it where the desktop quits responding. There's a special program that you can use to make Q4OS look a heck of a lot like Windows, and it's called XPQ4. The Q4OS team has created, I should say programmed, a automated installer, and I'll show you one of those just here in a second, for the XPQ4. That particular program has the different versions too, both for the i386 32-bit and then another one for the x64 64-bit processors. Well, it's working here. Seems like it's still live. Yeah, there we go. Good. Didn't lock up or anything. Never have had it lock up. I do crazy things with my installations where they can stop responding because I have too many windows going and connecting to the network and things like that while it's doing the installation. What's beautiful about this is that once you connect to a wireless network and then you connect to a wired network, it switches automatically back all by itself. I've never had to go back in and tell it to reconnect and not reconnect. It has a Samba file server in here that's already configured, all automatic, connects to Windows Share. So if you have a network that has a network storage device, or what they call a NAS, N-A-S, it'll connect right to it. It'll automatically detect USB drives, thumb drives, hard drives, CD-ROMs. All you do is right-click the USB drives or thumb drives and say safely remove and select that. Works perfect. I've had no issues with this. It's fully customizable. You can make the desktop any way you want to, any kind of image for the background. The resolutions can go up to, this particular computer only goes to I think 1900 by 1200. I wouldn't need more than that ever. I can run it at 1024 by 768 all the way up to 1366 by 768, and for the frequency to work okay. And your computer, you may have to adjust that too. But I'll show you a little bit of the settings when this is all done. Should be just a few more minutes. But it comes, the pure boot, if you set the keep the installed files, it doesn't have Google, so you have to manually install that. You have to go all the way to the full version to get Google to install onto the system, but I'll show you here in a second how you can open up the, and I'll do a subsequent video of how to install packages and software, and show some of my scripting that I'm creating to make Q4OS the choice of being the easiest to use, most friendly Linux operating system in the earth. And that'll take some time, but that's what I'm working on, plus my own version of my LiveOS. So as this configures, I have to pause this again. There we go. It's getting there. I don't use the where it says web browser right here. I delete those. I think I may have said it before. That's the stock web browser that comes with the TDE, which is I was going to tell you about that. Is it uses the Trinity desktop environment. Trinity desktop environment is a fork of the KDE desktop environment, which is very, very popular. Some people don't like it, but I love it. 3.5 version. KDE is now 4.0, but the 3.5 is the Trinity forked off of that, and has a lot of options for configuration, usability. But there's that gets to be more of an advanced environment as you get more familiar with how this system works. It's not Windows. It is different, but I absolutely love it. And I think someone that can, if you can install printer drivers and you know, troubleshoot computer a little bit, you won't have any problems doing this. There's you can go to Q4OS.org //forum. So that's Q4OS.org /FORUM. That's the forum, and that's where you can get official support. I don't provide official support for Q4OS. I only do that for my own version. And final adjustments, so we're almost there. Geez, I didn't think it would take this long, but that's okay. I wanted to show you some more aspects of this before I close the video out. And you're welcome to send me questions to bobby@myliveos.com. But I highly recommend anyone that wants to try Linux, as far as the alternate operating system, is to try Q4OS from the LiveCD. See what you think. I've heard from many people who are using this system that the memory management is a lot lower than some packages. I'm not going to mention other ones, but the one that claims to be the most user-friendly in the world has a high memory usage. You have to have a lot of memory. This particular program, Q4OS, will run on 1 GB Pentium 4, 1 gigahertz. I mean, it's not as fast as what's going on right now, as far as it'll be a little slower, but it will install on a slower system, an older computer, or it'll install on the fastest computers also. And that's not possible with the upgraded versions of the mainstream versions of Linux, without getting into naming names. Okay, finally got here. Okay, so I'm going to say no, but normally you'd say yes, and the system would just reboot to a login screen. And I'll do that in another video. What I want to do is I'm going to click no. It'll clean up here a little bit, and then we'll go in and I'm going to show you a few things about this live environment. The Q4OS developers have done an excellent job. This thing is so stable. It's unbelievable what I'm capable of doing with this. Okay, now that that's closed out, my screen recorder appears to still be recording. So I'm going to open up my computer. And again, we're running from a LiveCD. And if I didn't need to install the Q4OS program as an example here, I could run this without a hard drive on the internet. So basically, this is your my computer, and these are documents folders. Document folders here will be the same as this icon over here. And as you open this, see how fast it is? Pretty fast. Now that's the one we installed to right there. It's not mounted, but it's ready to reboot, and it's going to go right into that partition. And that's the CD-ROM RAM drive, and that's the CD-ROM drive. Looks like there's a dual there. Okay, so close that, and then if I want to install a program on here like I did for simple screen recorder, which was a application file that's separate from the installers for the Q4OS system. It's not an official file that they're going to have in their software thing. But if I want to install, say, Gparted, I didn't have it installed on the LiveCD because the Gparted doesn't come with LiveCD from Q4OS. I would just go over here, and I would come over here to Gparted, and again, this is a LiveCD, and it's hooked to a wired network cable. It is going to download this program, and you'll see what the installer looks like. And then I'll finish so this is what the installers look like from Q4OS for the ones they made, and all these here right here, and including the simple stream recorder. It'll ask me, do I want to install it, and it's going to make sure it's not installed already, and it's going to say yes, okay, and we're going to click it. It is downloading it off the internet. And once it downloads all the files and what they call dependencies, which are sub files that needs to work properly, it'll unpack them and install them all automatically. This is about as close as you'll be to a Linux type of install system. Very, very easy use, very simple. Not a lot of installers yet. TeamViewer is pretty cool. That gives you a really good, looks just like the Windows version. Allows you to connect to someone else, the desktop. You have full control, exactly looks like their desktop. You can copy files for them, you can install programs for them, all from remotely, and it looks like it's going to be done here in a second. And there it is, and it says successfully installed, it says it's finished, and we're all set. Okay, so that's the installing part of it. So, and as far as the background, all you do is right click. If you want to change the background, right click. Remember, this is the LiveCD, we're not running from a hard drive. Configure a desktop. You can do anything on this LiveCD as you could a live computer. Can you believe this? Is this so cool? Okay, well, it ends the video for today. It's been a long one, and thank you. This is Bobby Cooper. You can find me at myliveos.com. But for official support for Q4OS, go to q4os.org. And thank you.